Let's go. Oh, there I am. So I'm on screen. Greg will be back in just a moment. And we'll get off and running with the Blue Review presented by LAX on this Thursday, a victory Thursday, I guess, if you want. Yeah, so we're here now, for real. So thank you all for hanging out in the chat. Definitely down for any of your questions that you may have as we get through this Thursday. The Dodgers coming off a 12-7 win and a series sweep of the Miami Marlins. So the Dodgers win their 5th game in a row. And, look, Greg, you and I and Jeff Spiegel were all texting during the day yesterday as the game was going on about various Dodger-related things. And I think the consensus was, yes, the Marlins are a very bad team, but a win is a win. The Dodgers have won 5 in a row now. They are in first place in the National League West. So I don't care who they beat. I'm just glad they're beating somebody.
Yeah, I just like when they win games and they hit home runs and they score runs and there's hits involved and you have pretty decent pitching. Like that makes me happy. They're actually good pitching. Tony Gonsolin was great.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, it was good pitch. It was a good day for Tony Gonsolin. He gave up 3 runs in the ball game. And look, even those 3 runs, he made the one mistake to Stowers and gave up a home run. And then he had another play where Andy Pages laid out for a ball that he couldn't get to, and that allowed another run to score. So all in all, I think a very successful outing for Tony Gonsolin. He gets through 6 with just the 3 runs earned, 9 strikeouts in the ball game. I'll say this. Yesterday talking with Parker, I mean, my hope was he could get through 5, right? I'm like, if he can get through 5 with 70, 80 pitches, I think that would be a win for him personally and for the team. To get through 6 yesterday, even against the Marlins, I don't care, was fantastic in his return.
No, yeah, absolutely. That was their whole thing, was that they waited on Tony Gonsolin until now because they wanted him to get through that 5 innings in AAA. And he did it. And then now he went through 6. So he did everything that he was supposed to do. He looked good. He was keeping hitters off balance. His pitch count was crazy low. There was nothing about that outing obviously, the pitch to Sowers was a mistake pitch and it went to dead center. But besides that, it was a great outing. And that's it makes me feel better that Tony Gonsolin is going to be out there instead of guys like Landon Knack and Justin Robleski and, whoever else they decided they wanted, or bullpen games, which they'll probably have to do some more of as well. But Marcus, can we just talk about something for just a second?
Yes, please.
The Marlins are an awful, awful baseball team. Like, just a complete and utter disaster of a baseball team. We said it from the beginning that they don't even belong on a baseball field right now. That this team is just bad in every sense. Don't play good defense, not good pitching, can't hit. Like, they have a couple guys that can, I guess. But besides that, if I put it out on Twitter yesterday, and you can still, and the poll is still up. Do you think the Marlins are good enough to beat a AAA Oklahoma City Comet team?
I don't know. I mean,
right. It's real, right? That's a real question.
On any given day, sure. I'm so as you say this, I'm pulling up the OKC roster right now. And I mean, I'm looking, right? I mean, Hesung Kim is starting to hit pretty well. He's showing a power stroke down there. We know what Dalton Rushing is. Even Hunter Fiducia, has some.
Alex Freeland is a good third baseman.
Yeah. I mean, they got Estuary Ruiz, who we know is not necessarily a great major leaguer, but certainly is got speed, is doing things at the 13 stolen bases for Ruiz in 17 games. I mean,
that means he's getting on base.
He's getting on base. I mean, he's hitting 293. He's got a 406 on base percentage. So he's doing things there. Look, James Outman, again, not a guy who has had a lot of success at the major league level, but we know certainly at the AAA level, he has shown that he can hit. He's flashed a little bit of power at that level as well. It would be an interesting 3-game series. I'll say that.
It would be. I know, like, it's just crazy to me because we said at the beginning of this series on Monday, was it Monday? What day is it today? Thursday? Yeah. On Monday.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So on Monday that you looked at the roster and you're like, I don't know who any of these guys are. Jesus Sanchez was the one that I knew. And I think, was it Graham Pauly now looks like Parker Bell. So we know a couple of those dudes, but for the most part, you look at it at what's out there, and nobody knows who any of them are. They are a AAA team for the Marlins because they don't spend any money. They're all make it's like, what is it, $69 million that is their entire payroll.
Yeah.
It's like putting out that level of a team shouldn't happen. Like on a major league level, them and the Rockies are a disgrace to baseball.
I mean, yes, that part is absolutely true. The Marlins are 7 games better than the Rockies right now.
Well, the Rockies have 5 wins, so
they have 5 wins. It's like, and I say this as somebody who grew up as a fan of the Oakland A's and just watched what that franchise has become. As a fan, it's super frustrating. Here's the thing. I don't know if is it frustrating for the folks in Miami, because I feel like they don't necessarily have the connection to that ball club that, say, people in Oakland, had to the A's for so many years. I mean, say what you want about attendance. There's a passionate fan base in Oakland, and ownership pretty much drove them away. I feel like the Marlins are sort of like an afterthought in the city of Miami.
Yeah, they are. But I mean, what else? There's nothing else there. And also, if you're a Marlins fan, like, you actually have had good times.
Yeah.
You've won 2 World Series.
I mean, they completely dismantled the team right after, but yes.
And that's the problem, right? They dismantled the team right after because they are so cheap. They went to the playoffs in 2023, and now look what they're putting out there. I mean, it's just, the whole team is a complete mess. And like, I love what everybody did. I love that Max Muncy hit a home run. I love that they scored, like, was it probably around 35 runs in the series? I don't know exactly how many it was, but they scored a lot of runs because they broke 10 twice.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what, like, I love all those things, but then you look at the competition over there and you said, that's not an actual Major League Baseball team. So I'll take the wins. I'll take the sweep. I'm glad they didn't lose one, like, because that could have been just a little detrimental.
Monday was up in the air for a little bit.
It
was up in the air for a
Thanks,
bit.
Tommy Tanks.
Yeah. So, like, doing the quick count, 34 runs is what they scored in the 3-game series against the Miami Marlins. All right, so let's get into first, before we get into even the good or the bad, we should get into folks at LAX who we're certainly glad to be on board with us on this show. They are transforming the travel experience, saving guests time. For more information, you can go see them at flylax.com/transforminglax. Good. We talked about Gonsolin. He was fantastic yesterday. Welcome back, Catman, with your short hair and everything. Looked great on the mound there on Wednesday. The other big story, at least for me, yesterday was Max Muncy finally hitting his first home run of the season. I was actually in the car listening to it on the radio, and at the time, Muncy's at the plate, and Steven Nelson is talking about him and saying, I think it was Steven Nelson, maybe it was Neverett, I don't recall, but saying, hey, it's he's still looking for his first home run of the year. He's scuffling, still looking for his first home run of the year, and not one pitch later, there's a drive to deep center field, and there it goes. And so he finally breaks out of that. Also, Max Muncy hit. I was gonna say, did they call it a triple? I don't think it was.
Yeah, they called it a triple. It was a Sun triple. It dropped, and then he ended up making it. Probably in any other competent right fielder that's not a Marlin would have caught that ball. Yes.
Yeah,
maybe would have dropped for a single, maybe. But yes, they called it a triple.
So either way, it's 2 hits for Muncy. He scored a pair of runs. He drove in a run on the home run. It feels like, and I know we've said this several times before, but it feels like he's close now, Greg. He's looking more patient at the plate. Like, yeah, he still swings and misses. He still strikes out. I think that's always going to be there. But he's starting to make more consistent contact. He's starting to hit the ball hard. And, I mean, this. Baseball, law of averages. You just hit the ball hard enough times, eventually things are going to even out. And maybe it's me being super optimistic. I know that's my role on this show, but it feels like he's turning a corner.
Well, one of us has to be optimistic. I tend to lean the opposite way. But yeah, no, he has been. That was why neither you nor I, or I don't think FRG, Clint Pasillas, or Jeff Spiegel, I don't think even Parker has ever really gone too hard on Muncy, because we always thought that if somebody was going to turn around, I always felt like Muncy could get there. That was just what he was going to turn it around at some point. And maybe he hasn't turned it around yet, but he has been starting to get more hits. He got his first home run. He's starting to, the walks are starting to pile up again. There's a lot of things that I feel like you can be patient with Muncy, and we've been kind of saying this through the whole season. Show patience with Muncy. By the middle of the year, by the end of the year, he could have 25, 30 home runs, and nobody's going to be surprised about that. So, yeah, it's really, really nice to see that he did get his first home run. You got to assume that has got to be just a massive weight off of his shoulders. Just...
100%. And again, listening on the radio broadcast yesterday, one of the things they mentioned was that it felt like, and it looked like, for everybody in the dugout, it was a weight lifted. There just seemed to be such happiness and relief with everybody in the dugout. Freddie Freeman came over and gave Muncy a big hug, and everybody just knew it was coming, and they were just kind of waiting for that moment. And I look at it as, in basketball, you always hear announcers say, for a guy who's a scorer or a shooter, like, sometimes you just need to see the ball go through the basket, and then everything sort of follows from there. And it just felt like for Max Muncy, he just needed to see the ball go over the fence, and that everything's going to start to get better for him at that point. So definitely another, I think, thing to add to a lineup that's starting to get hot. He talked about the top of the order. The bottom of the order is hitting. We'll get to the one guy in just a little bit, but
no. They're not hitting.
For the most, look, Austin Barnes had 3 hits yesterday. Kike Hernandez had a couple of hits yesterday. So they're starting to get offense up and down the lineup. And so if Max Muncy starts to come to life, then this becomes that super feared lineup that we were expecting to see at the start of the year.
Yeah, look, the first month of the season, it's today, tomorrow. Today is May 1st. Today is May. It's gonna be May. It's happened finally, and it has happened. I'm really upset with myself for making that joke, but I felt like it had to happen. So
can I be a little self-serving here, because May 1st is always a big day, because one, it's the changing calendar. It's also, selfishly, it's my birthday.
Happy birthday, buddy! Oh God, why do I not have that in front? Happy birthday. Hey, can we get a little, anybody on the chat give a little happy birthday to Marcus Grant?
So May 1st always is kind of an interesting day, because I always feel like for the Dodgers, May 1st really does, I won't say it starts the season, but it always feels like the Dodgers turn the page on May 1st. Too.
Look at that. In my phone it says Marcus Grant birthday. So it just hadn't hit yet. So
all right. Cool.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Thanks,
really
man.
Happy. You are now 42 years young.
Sure, we'll go with that. we'll go with that. We'll let that roll. But no, it always feels like they turn the page. Like, it just feels like, and I don't know, I haven't done any actual research. This is just vibes more than anything. It just feels like once the calendar turns to May, this team sort of turns up a little bit.
Yeah, they do. And it's the first month of the season. They were struggling is a tough word to say, but the offense wasn't clicking. There was some bad bullpen outings. There were some bad pitching outings. They weren't clicking on all cylinders like we knew them to be. And despite all of that, and I think Dave Roberts even said something the other day about this, despite all of that, they are now tied for the best record in baseball with the Chicago Cubs. All of the things that we come onto the Blue Review and complain about and talk about, and Andy Pajes and Michael Conforto, who we'll get into, and all these different things, they're tied for the best record in baseball, and they hadn't been playing well. And that's really, really bad for the rest of Major League Baseball.
Right. That is definitely bad for baseball. Sure.
Because if this bad team, I know they have some bad teams that they played. They also lost 2 or 3 to the Nationals, who are bad. So that those things happen. Yeah. But they're still at the top of their division and the top of baseball. When they do start getting fully hot, which might take a little bit, that's bad. It's gonna just take off to the point where we always said, they're gonna go 52-10 at some point. It might start happening right around now.
It really might. And so I was kind of looking at a couple things as well too. Andy Pajes, you mentioned, he stays hot, has a hit yesterday, continues his hitting streak, which is, I believe, at 5, 6, 7, 8 games now for Andy Pajes. He was last week the National League Player of the Week. This week, he may have competition from Teoscar Hernandez, who has been absolutely on fire as well. Teoscar in the midst of a 8 or 9 game hitting streak for Teoscar, continues to not only hit, but hit with power. So, the Dodgers very well could have back-to-back NL Players of the Week, depending on how the next couple of days go. But it's been fantastic. So, all right, we've sort of danced around this long enough. Conforto watch. I went and looked. I was curious. I pulled up his game logs because it's been a while since he got a hit. Has not had a hit since that last game in Chicago, which was on April 23rd. So that's been over a week since he's had a hit in a ball game. Went back. The last 2-hit game he had was the last time they played the Cubs in LA. The last time he had 2 hits in a game was April 13th. Mm-hmm. Since that time, Michael Conforto has played in 13 games, 3 hits in 41 at bats. And in case you don't want to do the math, that's a 0.73 average. No home runs, no RBIs, 1 stolen base, 9 walks, 12 strikeouts. That's what he's working with right now.
So with all of that, we talked all those non-hits and hits, whatever it was. I think it was April 2nd, April 3rd. It wasn't too far into April that we said, "Oh, look, Michael Conforto has 5 RBIs." Today is May 1st. Michael Conforto has 5 RBIs. Yeah. I have seen him ground out more than I've seen him get an actual hit. Michael Conforto is very much, we were talking about all these good things, and I know we have to do this every once in a while because he's my villain, but Michael Conforto is an absolute mess, and he needs to be either given days off, like multiple days off to try and figure out something, because what he's doing is detrimental to this team. Just look at yesterday. You talked about Austin Barnes had 3 hits. Austin Barnes had 3 hits. 1 hit for Ohtani, 2 hits for Betts, 2 hits for Freeman, 3 hits for Hernandez, 1 hit for Pages, 2 hits for Muncy, 2 hits for Kike, 3 hits for Barnes. Everybody that played in this game besides Chris Taylor, who came in as a pinch hitter, even Miguel Rojas got a hit. Michael Conforto did not get a hit against this awful baseball team that we're talking about. He did not get a hit. He did not get a hit in this series against that team. He did not get a hit against Pittsburgh in that team. I don't think he might have gotten a hit against Pittsburgh.
No, he did not get a hit against the Pirates. He played 2 of the 3 games, did not get a hit.
2 bad baseball teams that are not going to make the playoffs. He did not get a hit. And that is a problem when you're being, now he got moved down to the 8th spot and it did nothing. The torpedo bat did nothing. I was never a fan of Conforto. I'm not a fan of it now. This is the guy that I'm not pleased with on this team.
I said this yesterday with Parker. I was trying to find just any kind of positives, right? Because on Tuesday night, there was a point in the ball game where the Dodgers had a couple guys on base. Looked like a rally was starting to maybe come together, and he hits into an inning-ending double play. And again, just trying to find something to hang on to. I was like, well, he hit it hard, but it was still a one hopper right to the second baseman, and it turns into a 4-6-3, and that was the end of the inning. And I think at this point, you mentioned it being detrimental to the ball club. I think it's detrimental to him, right? Because at this point, he's so much in his head now, right? Everybody is aware of the struggles that he is going through. Like I said, he's had 3 hits in the last 2 weeks. It just makes sense to sit him down for a little bit. The other thing I said, and I said it, half facetiously, maybe he needs a hug from Dave Roberts, right? I mean, we have seen Dave Roberts hugs work miracles before. Well, maybe he just need, after his next ground out, when he gets to the top step of the dugout, Dave Roberts just offers him a hug, and maybe that helps some of this go away. But at the very least, maybe he sits out this series against the Braves coming up. I don't know. I don't have any other answers, because at least in the short term, he's not going anywhere. You can't send him down. I mean, unless you dummy up an injury or something like that. You can send him to OKC for a couple of weeks to work on some things. So he's here. So they got to figure out something. And I just the only thing I see, Greg, is that he just needs to sit on the bench and just kind of watch and get out of his own head for a couple days.
Absolutely does. And I think the power of the Dave Roberts hug only goes so far. I don't know if that's something that would help Michael Conforto. There's something going on with him. I don't know if he's ever going to figure it out. See, like you and I give Muncy a leash. He's been here a long time.
Yeah.
We've seen what he can do. We've seen that he has the power to hit 35 home runs. We see that he can be an impactful player for this team. Michael Conforto just got brought in, and he came in coming off a bad season with the Giants, but his splits were off. Like the home split for up in San Francisco was bad, but when he was away, it was like 300 points higher for his OPS, where he was over 800 OPS. It's not happening here at Dodger Stadium. It's not happening on the road. His splits are just, he's bad. The fact that his numbers are not getting hits, it's time to just sit for a little bit and give other guys a chance. I'd rather see Kike out there. I'm going to say the worst thing I could possibly say about somebody, I'd rather see Chris Taylor out there.
I know you've held to that position, and I'm not against that at this point. Let's just, again, Conforto needs some days off. Chris Taylor, give him an opportunity. Maybe he runs into a couple out there or something. I mean, I know the argument in favor of Conforto at the start of the year was, well, you get him out of San Francisco, you get him out of that ballpark, maybe things turn around. Because I feel like in the history of Pac Bell, AT&T, Oracle, whatever they call that place now.
I don't even know what it is now.
There's only been two left-handers that I can think of off the top of my head who've hit well. One was Barry Bonds, but he hit everywhere, so that doesn't really count. The other one was like Brandon Belt. I feel like those are the only two guys, the only two left-handers that hit with any consistent power at that place. But Conforto in his career has sort of just been a guy,
Yeah. I'm
not
looking for power. Sorry.
No, it was not very high average, never a ton of power, though. He's always just kind of been a guy in his career.
I'm not looking for power. I get it. Singles. I'll be fine with just singles, doubles. Yeah. Keep the line moving. If the power comes later on, great. But I don't even care anymore. I want to see the ball in play. That's not a ground ball for a double play, and stopping momentum in their tracks consistently.
I was thinking about this yesterday. Who frustrated you more? Michael Conforto or Kevin Biggio?
Okay, so Conforto, Kevin Biggio, you kind of knew who Kevin Biggio was. And he actually played a pretty decent defensive position. Yeah, he played first base. He did his job. I think he had a home run or two. He got on every once in a while. He was not a good baseball player. I don't even know where he is now. He didn't fit
again. When I was thinking of this, I was like, where is Kevin Biggio?
Yeah. So he's not. He didn't fit on the Dodgers, and I totally understand that. Conforto isn't doing anything well. So So he and also when they got Kevin Biggio, I was like, okay, cool. Maybe they can fix him because he was good for a year or two in Toronto.
Yeah.
Conforto came in with such high hype that, this is the guy that's going to replace Teoscar Hernandez. No, this is not the guy that is going to replace Teo. So glad Teo came back now. His defense is terrible too. By the way, when you have those three out in the outfield,
it's a circus, man.
Teo, Pages, and Conforto in the outfield, is that one of the worst outfields you've ever seen?
It's pretty bad. And I know we said this coming into the season too, that if there's a big Achilles heel for this team, it's going to be outfield defense, which I think stands as one more reason that Ha-Seong Kim needs to sort of get here, because then you can put Tommy Edman in the outfield and maybe fill that up a little bit.
Save it a little.
It's a good thing. At least two of the three guys out there are hitting, so that sort of lets you ignore the other part of that. But the outfield defense is for sure a problem with this team. All right. So a day off for the Dodgers today. They are on the road. The start of a 10-game road trip. 3 in Atlanta, 3 in Miami, and then they head back to the West Coast for 4 with the Diamondbacks, which that's the first. Those are the first games within the division, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken.
Oh
Correct?
no, didn't they play the Rockies?
Oh, they had to play the Rockies. Yeah,
But I mean, they're not a real team either.
It's
Yeah.
easy to gloss over that at this point.
Right.
A team with 5 wins that's on pace for, was it? I think Parker said they're on pace for 20 wins this year.
Ugh,
Gah.
ugh,
That's
it's
brutal.
bad for baseball.
That is absolutely brutal. But
Yep.
either way, the Dodgers back in action tomorrow after a day off. I know, I'm sure that will, the Dodgers will make the conversation on Travis and DeMarco coming up, but I know the Lakers.
Do we have to talk about it now? I tried to get through a whole Blue review.
I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it. I will say this. So Spectrum Cable had the decency to knock out our cable, at least where I live, last night for the entirety of the Laker game. My wife and I watched it on our phones last night, but the cable was out just since right before tip off until long after the final buzzer. Maybe the folks at Spectrum Cable were trying to tell us something. I don't know. But either way, Travis and DeMarco will get into that and plenty more. So stick with us here on the ESPN LA YouTube channel. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you for the birthday wishes. I did see them.
Happy birthday.
Appreciate it. I'm grateful for that as I make another trip around the sun. Anyway, that'll do it for us on this edition. Jonathan Watson, who's been turning the Dobbs and Niles, the knobs and dials back there. Parker is somewhere in the ether as well, so shout out to him as well. But in the meantime, that'll do it for us here on the Blue Review presented by LAX. He's Greg Bergman. I'm Marcus Grant. Enjoy the day, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow, 8:30 to 8:55, right here on the ESPN LA YouTube channel.
See ya.